Hope I'm audible to you and you can hear me fine and my screen is visible to you. So let's continue our session. Again, the same topic, inheritance. So we have a class bike. I guess this was the last example we discussed yesterday. I have a class bike with a data member speed. We have a constructor. We have an initialization block. In the initialization block, the speed is 100. So whenever I create an object, the first step is it is going to call the initialization block. Okay. It is going to make a call to the initialization block, and then it is going to make a call to the constructor to display the speed. So for each and every object, the initialization block will be called. For each and every object, the initialization block is called. Okay. Is it clear? So when the bike b1 is equal to new bike is created, for this particular object, the speed data member is initialized to 0. We call it as instance data. Then it goes in the constructor, displays the speed, which is 100. For the second object, again it creates an instance data speed. Again, speed will be initialized to 0 and the constructor is going to display 100. Is it clear to you? There is a class A having the constructor, there is a class B having a constructor, and in the derived class we have an initialization block. Okay, so let's call this as A. So class A has got a parent constructor, class B extends A, it has got a child class constructor, and there is an initialization block. So let me call it as I block, initialization block. Okay, in the class main, I create an object of a derived class. So what I'm doing, I'm creating an object of a derived class. Okay, whether you write this super or not, always it is going to make a call to the base class constructor. So parent class constructor is called, that will be displayed. Then the child class constructor is called, that will be displayed. Now the question is, when will this be displayed? Initialization block. Any thoughts about it? Class A with constructor, class B with constructor, class B with initialization block, and I'm creating an object of a derived class. So the sequence is after the parent, initialization block, and then the constructor. Let's check it. So first is the parent, the second is the initialization block, the third is the child class constructor. Is it clear? Understood? Have a look at this particular code and tell me whether this code will work or not. There is a class A having a default, there is a class B having a default and a parameterized, there is an initialization block. Okay, I'm creating two objects, b1 is equal to new b2 is equal to new b10. Parent constructor, child constructor, default, initializer block. So write down the output on the screen on the chat window. PC parent constructor, CCD child constructor default. Let's also reduce the child constructor parameterize. Child constructor parameterize. And then there is an initialization block. And then I'm saying B1 is equal to new B, B2 is equal to new B10. So just write down the output on the chat window. Giving you 2 minutes. Okay, I got one of the answers. Okay, second answer I got. Okay, so just let me take this, execute it, run it, and check. Let's check the answer. PC initialization block, CCD parameterized constructor. Have a look at the output. PC initialization block, CCD, PC, IB, CCPD, CCP10. Any explanation required? Okay, let's make a dry run of this. Comment this out. Run it. Do it step by step. So when we create an object of a derived class B, B1 is equal to new B, what is the first thing that is going to be done is it is going to because of this line a class B extends A. Okay, before the child class constructor is called, okay, what happens is it makes a call to the base class constructor. It displays the parameterized constructor. Okay, so we get a PC. Then what happens is it comes in the child class. In the child class, it has got a default constructor, it has got a parameterized constructor, and it has got an initialization block. So in the initialization block, what is happening? It displays something called as a initialization block, which is over here. Okay. Then it goes in the default constructor. In the default constructor, what will happen? It will display CCD. Whether you write super or not, it doesn't matter, because child class is always going to make a call to the base class default constructor. Base class default constructor, whether you write super or not. Okay. Comment this out, uncomment this, run it. You're creating an object of a derived class by passing the parameter. So what happens is go to the class B and check whether it has a parameterized constructor. Yes, it has a parameterized constructor. So what is the first thing that is going to be done is it is going to make a call to the base class default constructor. So we get something called as a parameterized constructor. Then what happens is it comes into the initialization block. So it gets IB initialization block is displayed. Then what happens is it comes in the parameterized constructor, and in the parameterized constructor it will display the value of A. And what is the value we have passed? The value we have passed is 10. I hope everyone has got it. Let's understand the significance of final. Whenever you want to declare a constant, we make it as a final. Whenever you have to So whenever you want to declare a constant, we declare it as final. Okay, we declare it as final. And this is a bad practice. Since it's a constant, we should type it in capital. We should type it in capital. Okay. Now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to do something like this. There is a class bike in which I declared speed limit as 90. Okay. There is a function run which I'm going to make a call to it. And here I'm trying to change the speed limit to 400. Let's see what happens when I execute the following code. When I execute the following code, have a look at it. I guess I made a mistake. Bike, run, close, class main, argument, closing. It will give me an error saying that you cannot modify the constant. And how the constants are indicated? The constants are indicated by the keyword called as final. So constants are declared using a keyword called as final, and final means we cannot change the contents of it. Can the final be applied on a function? Yes, final could be applied on a function. When you apply the final on the function, it means you cannot override the method. You cannot override the method. There is a class bike which has got a run function. It is final. The final means any derived class which is derived from the bike will not be in a position to override it. If you remove the final, then what happens? This run is overriding this. Yes or no? But the moment we declare it as final, you cannot have a run method over here. This run cannot override this. So when I create an object of the Honda and try to create a call, make a call to the run, this run is not going to override this run. So we can have a function called as final, which indicates that a function cannot be overridden. Run in Honda cannot override run in bike. For a very simple reason, you have declared a function as final. Okay? Any doubt? So in case you want to declare a constant for which the value shouldn't be changed, we declare it as final. In case you want to declare a function whose function cannot be overridden in the derived class, we declare it as final. We declare it as final. Overloading is different. Overriding is different. Final means the function cannot be overridden. As far as the overload is concerned, it is applied on the signature. It is applied on the signature, not on the final keyword. I hope that clarifies my answer, Vishal. Final class bike. Class Honda extends bike. Okay. Class Honda extends bike. In this case, what has happened? The class is final. The class is final. And I'm trying to derive a class from the bike, and in which I want to have a function called as run. Okay. Let's see what happens when I do this. It says that we cannot use the extend keyword. That means whenever you want to prevent the inheritance, we declare the class as you declare the class as final. You declare the class as finals. To prevent inheritance, we use a keyword called as final. Write the final before the class name and you cannot extend that class. So I cannot have any class which is extending a bike for a very simple reason. I have used a final. I have used a final. Predict the output. Predict the output. 2 minutes. Think about it. The parameter of the function is declared as final. This will give an error. This will give an error for a very simple reason. You cannot change the content of it. You cannot change the content of it. Okay. In this case, the code snippet says that n is equal to n plus 2. You cannot do it because the keyword, the parameter of the function n is declared as final. Okay. It's a code snippet, not a complete code. Okay. The code snippet was interested only in this particular variable. There is a code which follows beyond this, which I have not written. So this particular line, n is equal to n plus 2, will flag an error for a very simple reason. We have declared this as a final. You cannot change the contents in a function. So in case you want to pass a parameter to the function whose value shouldn't be changed in the function, kindly declare it as final. Kindly declare it as final. I have got a class main in which I have got a final variable. Okay, final means a constant, but it is not initialized. It is not initialized and it is static. There is a static block in which I say data is equal to 50. Data equal to 50. And then I am saying main dot data. What is your observation about this particular code? Will it run? Yes, no. There is only a single class main. It has got a static data, but it is final. And there is a static block in which I say data is equal to 50. I display the contents of it by saying main dot data. Will it work? Yes, no. What do you say? No? Let's try this out. Go over here. Okay. Try to run. It runs. So point number 1, you can declare the final variable as static. Point number 2, there is no need to initialize it. You can, since it is static, you can initialize it in a static block. Okay. Point number 3, I can display the data by simply saying system.out.println data. Even if I remove the main, it will still work. Why it still works? Because everything is in the same class. Are you with me? Are you getting it? Okay. Now if I remove the static block, and if I have only the initialization block, will it work? Yes, no. Think for a minute. I don't have a static block. I only have an initialization block in which I am saying data is equal to 50. So the problem is not with the static data, the problem is with the final. Final variable can only and only be initialized in a static block. Static data I'm talking about. Okay, static data I'm talking about. Okay, if you declare a final variable, it has to be initialized. If you declare a static variable, final variable, okay, it can be only initialized in a static block. It cannot be initialized in a initialization block. Now, if I remove this, will it work? Yes, no. Will it work? Yes, no. Now this will not work, not for the reason of the final. This will not work because you have declared a instance data, and if you want to access it, then what I had to do, I had to create an object of it. I had to create an object of it. So what I will have to do, I will have to say new main, right? After that, what I had to do, tell me, will it work? Yes, no. Since this is an instance data, I need to create an object of it. Either I can create an object of it or I can create an anonymous object. So I'm saying new main and then make a call to data. It should display the value 50. Let's see. Clear? So if you declare a final variable in the initialization block, you can assign the value. If you have a static, then what you have to do? You have to declare the block as static. I hope it is clear to you. Whether you declare it as a final or whether you declare it as a static final, you can initialize the instance data, final instance data in an initialization block. Point number one. You can initialize the static final data in a static initialization block, because those are called before the constructor. Because those are called before the constructor. Now my question to you is, since I said static final in data and static block data is equal to 50, will this code run? Yes, no. Will this code run? Yes, no. New main data. Will it run? What is your call? Yes, it works. So whenever you create an object, kindly remember it can access the non-static data as well as the static data. Remember, when you create an object of a class, it can access non-static as well as static data. But if you don't create an object, then static data can be accessed only by the static block. Static data can be accessed only by the static block. I hope it is clear to you. So this entire class notes has been already been uploaded. Okay, this class notes has been uploaded as a static and final document. Let's continue our discussion on inheritance. Okay, there is a class animal having the move function. There is a class dog extending an animal. It also has a move. So this move is overriding this particular move. Clear? Then in the main class, what I do, I say animal A is equal to new animal. When I say a dot move, what should happen? It should go to the base class and make a call to this. Okay, let's make it as A and let's make it as B. Okay, so I create an animal object, I make a call to the move. So what should happen? It should come over here and display the value A. Is this clear to you? Simple. Creating an object of a base class and making a call to the move function will display A. Next, create an object of a class that's a derived class. And then say do dot move. Now what happens is, since you have created an object of a derived class, it will make a call to the move, so it should display B. It should display B because this method is overriding this method. Clear? Now, most important one, which allows us the polymorphic behavior. Polymorphic means many forms. Animal B is equal to new dog. Animal B is equal to new dog. What it means? A reference of this is the reference of the base class. What is animal B? Reference of the base class is being made to point to the object of a derived class because new dog is a derived class. So when I say B dot move, what should happen? It should make a call to the move of the derived class, which is the dog. So when I run it, this particular A dot move should give me A. When I run it, D dot move should give me B. When I say animal B is equal to new dog, B dot move should make a call to the dog's move function, which is B. So I should get ABB. Is it clear to you? Yes, no? I have pasted the code. Have a look at it. So move in the base class, move in the derived class. This one is straightforward. This one is straightforward. This was a little bit tricky. A reference of the base class being made to point to the derived class. Okay. Okay, now there is a function f in the derived class. In the class animal, there is a move. In the class dog, there are two functions, move and f. And in the main, what I do, I create an object of animal class, I create an object of a derived class, I have a reference of the base class, I'm making it point to the dog, okay? And then I'm saying e dot f. Let's see what happens when I do that. When I say b dot f, it will give me an error. It will give me an error. Why? Because the reference of the base class, there is a reference of the base class which is animal. We do not have a f function over here, so it will give me an error. So this particular line gives an error because when I say animal B, the B reference of the animal class is going to refer or is going to check for the f function at the compile time. Do I have a f function over here? No. So it is going to give me an error. Understood? But if I say d dot f, it will work. It will work for a very simple reason. D is an object of a derived class. D is a reference of a derived class. What is the output? So if you look at the previous example, my reference is of the base class. Okay. Now, when I say b.move, it will give me an error for a very simple reason. Sorry, when I say b.move, what will happen is my reference is of the base class. In the base class, do I have the move function? Yes. In the derived class, do I have the move function? Yes. Object is of which particular class? Doc class. So when I say b.move, what will happen? It will display the move function. Clear? In this case, there is a class animal which has got a move function. There is a doc class having the move function, but in the move function, I say super.move. And then in the main, I am saying animal be equal to new doc. The reference is of the base class, but the object is of the derived class. So whenever you are creating an object of a derived class, always it is going to execute the function of the constructor of the base class. Do I have a constructor? I do not have a constructor. Fine. So it comes over here to the move function. Is this move overriding this? Yes, it is overriding this. Can I make a call to this? Yes. How? By saying super.move. So the control comes over here, displays A. Then it displays B. So output will be A and B. A and B. There is a class animal having the move function. There is a dog class extending animal. There is a move. Okay. So I say animal B is equal to new dog. Reference of the base class, object of a derived class. Do I have a constructor in the dog or animal? No. Then when I say b.move, control comes over here. This move is going to override this. But in the derived class move, what I have? Super.move. So when I say super.move, super takes me to the base class. It executes A. And then this particular line will be executed B. So I get the output as A and B. Have a look at the next class. The next class is explaining the polymorphic behavior. What do you mean by polymorphic behavior? Polymorphic means depending upon which object is being pointed to, it is going to make a call to it. Okay. So there is a class bank, which is a base class. There is a class SBI, class ICICI. Have I taken this example yesterday? Have I taken this example yesterday? Okay. Okay. I haven't taken it in the online. Okay. Okay. Got it. So let me repeat this quickly. There is a class bank, which is a derived class, sorry, which is a base class. It has got a get rate of interest, which is returning 0. There is a class SBI, which extends bank. That means I have got 3 children, SBI, ICICI, and Axis. Okay, all of them are saying extends bank, and extends bank. First one is returning some rate of interest 8.4F, 7.3F, and 9.7F. SBI is returning this, ICICI is returning this, Axis is returning this. Now when I say bank B, we have declared a reference of the base class. Why I did this? Because I wanted to use the same reference again and again. So on the next line, I said B is equal to new SBI. So my reference is now pointing to the SBI. So when I say get rate of interest, it is going to make a call to get rate of interest of SBI. When I say B is equal to new ICICI, what happened was B is now pointing to ICICI, and I'm making a call to get rate of interest, which is going to be 7.3F. When I say B is equal to new Axis, it is going to make a call to this, giving me 9.7. Next example, there is a class shape. It has got a draw method in which I'm displaying drawing. There is a class rectangle, there is a class circle, there is a class triangle. All of them are extending shape. Rectangle says drawing rectangle, circle says drawing circle, triangle says drawing triangle. Clear? So in the rectangle, I say drawing rectangle. In the circle, I say drawing circle. In the triangle, I say drawing triangle. So here I say shape S is equal to new rectangle. So what happens is S is in a position to make a call to the rectangle, and S dot draw will make a call to the draw of the rectangle. Then I say S is equal to new circle. S dot draw will make a call to the draw of the circle. Then S is equal to new triangle. Base class is referring to the derived class triangle. It is going to make a call to the draw of the derived class, which is a triangle. Now, what is an abstract class? An abstract class is a class which contains an abstract method. An abstract class is a class which contains an abstract method. So we'll ask, what is an abstract method? A method which does not have a code. An abstract method is a method which does not have a code. It does not have a code. A class which contains an abstract method is called an abstract class. Abstract method is a method, it does not contain code. It does not contain code. Is it clear? So there is an abstract class called as bike. There is a class called as Honda, which is inheriting the bike. It has got a run function. Then I am saying bike obj is equal to new Honda. Okay. This class reference being made to point to the derived class. Why we do this? To get the polymorphic behavior. Now what happens when I say obj.run, it will make a call to the run method of the derived class. Run method of the derived class. So let me copy this. Okay. Okay, so we have got two classes. One is bike, another is Honda. It is a class main, and try to run the object over here by saying bike obj is equal to new Honda. Let's check whether it runs or not. Yes. So when I say obj.run, what happens? It makes a call to the run function of the Honda running safely. Okay. So now what happens if I don't write this particular function? What happens if I don't write this particular function? Let's see. So point number one, if I don't write this run method, then Honda is not abstract and does not override the run method. Any class which is extending this particular abstract class has to compulsorily write the code for the abstract function. Are you writing the code for the abstract function? No. So what will happen? You cannot create an object of it. Can I create an object of it? No, I cannot. So can I make a call to the run? I cannot. Why? Because you have not written the run function. So it is mandatory for any class which is extending the bike to write the abstract function. Okay. Now, as a name abstract indicates, can we create an object of a bike class? You cannot. Why? Because it doesn't contain the body function. So if I say bike obj1 equal to new bike, okay, and then if I say obj1 dot run, can I do that? No, I cannot. Okay, it will point an error to me. So what is an abstract class? An abstract class is a class which contains a abstract method. Okay, which is the abstract method name over here? Run. Any class which is extending the abstract class should compulsory declare the run method so that we can create an object of it and make a call to it. There is an abstract class called as shape. There is an abstract function called as draw. There is a class rectangle which extends shape. There is a class circle which extends shape. And we could have the hierarchy, n number of hierarchy of a drawing software. Okay. And then what happens is each and every class should implement this particular draw method. Each and every class should implement the draw method. So when I say shape s is equal to new circle s dot draw, what should happen? It should make a call to this, right? Now if I say shape s is equal to new rectangle, what will happen? It will point to the rectangle and it will make a call to the draw of the rectangle. Draw of the rectangle. Understood? Is my screen visible to you? Yes, no? Okay. So whenever you are developing a software, okay, so always we start, you will not have all the specification. So what you do is you start with the bare minimum. So let's take a shape class. Okay. Now you as a designer now will have to think what should be there in this particular shape class. Now some of the companies approach over here, it's a generic software. So you think in terms of the concrete object now. What I have, I want to have a rectangle. Now I want to have a circle. And it can keep on extending this particular hierarchy such as parallelogram, rhombus and all these things. Okay, we could have the multiple classes over here. Now, as a software developer, you know that there is going to be that there is something called to be a specification for the draw method. Okay, of course this draw method will be drawing a particular object on the screen. For example, if I do something like this, I'm drawing it on the screen. Yes or no? This particular draw function should be there on the screen. Now tomorrow it has to be drawn on the printer, it has to be there on the printer. Tomorrow it has to be done on the scanner, it has to be done on the scanner. So it is your responsibility to write this particular function. Now what will happen if I don't follow this approach? Each one of this class may write a different function. For example, this rectangle class may have a function, this circle class may have a b function for draw, and so on. This may have c, this may have d, and so on. But if I start with the abstract class called as shape and has got a function called as draw, which is again an abstract, and tomorrow if I have these four concrete classes, these four concrete classes have to extend this particular functionality. These all are extending the shape. Now compulsorily they have to stick to this particular function, which is this function draw. So they have to write a code for draw in all the four classes. Are you with me? So imagine that this is a large software where you are supposed to draw for 250 such figures. So writing the 250 different method is very tedious. Rather, having the same function named draw in different classes and implementing the draw function is very neat. We call it as a modular approach. So always we start with an abstract class. We put all the functionality over here, okay, which each and every class should be implementing it, and these classes extend it. You cannot create an object of it. Can you create an object of it? No. Can I create a reference of it? Yes. And then this S can be made to point to the rectangle class, circle class, draw class, and any other class. Is it clear to you? So in this direction, there are two things. One is abstract class, another one is interface. Another one is interface. Am I audible to you? Yes, no? Now, if you look at the bank example, that was a very poor design. Why? Because anyone could create an object of a particular bank class. So in this case, what I did, I made the class as an abstract. See, I made the class as an abstract. Now I can understand you creating an object of an SBI or PNB, but I shouldn't be in a position to create an object of a bank because you're going to ask me which bank. So I had to make the bank class as abstract. I had to make the get rate of interest as abstract. And then in this particular class as SBI, PNB, what I'm going to do is I'm going to compulsorily implement this. And then my program becomes very neat because I create a reference of the bank class, and then it can be made to point to SBI, PNB, and so on. So always and always write a generic class, think about the particular functions which you want to have it, and implement it in the derived class, have a reference of the base class pointing to it. Any doubts if you have, you can raise it. If I don't use an abstract class, then what will happen? Each and every class can decide about any of the function. For example, in the first case, I can write f. In the second case, I can write get rate of interest. In the third class, I can write any function name. There is no modularity. Here, what I'm doing, I'm writing a function which has to be implemented by each and every class. Is it clear? So that takes me to further one concept. That concept is, I have an abstract class called as bike. Can an abstract class have a constructor? Can an abstract class have a function? Normal function. Yes. I can have an abstract class which can have a constructor. I can have a function which can have a body. What is the specification I told you? An abstract class should contain an abstract function. Does it have an abstract function? Yes, it's an abstract class. It has got a constructor, it has got a change gear. So when I create an object of a Honda class, what happens? It extends bike. So what will happen? It will call this particular constructor, bike is created. Then what will happen? There is a run function over here. There is a run function over here. So compulsorily I will have to run the run function. Okay. Then I say obj.changeGear. So what does obj.changeGear do me? It gives me gear change. Last example I will leave you now. Okay. Understood? So that will be the end of the class. I will continue from this particular class. Okay. All the best for your maths, because you're going to start from maths from today. That will be the end of the session. You all can leave. And can I make a call to change gear? Yes, I can make a call, but that I am going to teach you tomorrow.